All right, so I'm going to make a couple predictions here before like it happens. It happens in 16 minutes, and anybody who's watched my videos knows I can carry like a 16-minute intro to a video. So like that's not really this isn't really going to be new for me. Just because I'm covering something that's not political drama doesn't mean my ability to cover 15 minutes of pre-watch doesn't still apply. Now, my prediction is, because playing the games and knowing the lore of both, I think Kratos is going to win based off of feats. But here's the thing, right? Asura is very much a show game. God of War is very much a tell game when it comes to feats. Obviously, when it comes to other parts, God of War has a superior story. But when it comes to playing the game, like Asura's Wrath, you feel like you're indestructible, right? You feel like the universal entity you kill at the end is like this omniversal entity, even though he's not, right? Like it's very much just universal, right? Which is still powerful, obviously, but it's way below like most of like Kratos's lore in the games, right? So I am going to assume uh, that Kratos will win based off of that, but I'm not going to pretend that it feels like Kratos should win, right? Like, because that's really the thing. Like, Kratos is, when it comes to feats, Kratos is all tell, and Asura is all show, right? They show you that game, right? It's sort of like Saitama and like Goku, right? Like, Goku like is stronger, right, than Saitama, but you don't feel that when you read or watch One Punch Man, right? Like like even the Boros fight, which is nowhere near like Saitama's full strength, you feel like that guy is stronger than Goku when you watch it, but then you like read like then you like actually like look into it like past what you're just the initial reading, and yeah, no, right? But when you're reading it for the first time, hell yeah, that guy looks like he can take on anything, and like that's the kind of the thing, right? Now, obviously, Saitama isn't weak. He's like what, universal, which is still plenty strong, right? Um, but it's like with the way Saitama's like manga is written, like there's no way, like feat wise, I would say he would lose to Goku. But he's definitely no slouch, right? Like he's basically a nigh universal to universal being, which is definitely no slouch. But like when it comes to like uh, his feats, it's like okay, galaxies and planets, right? But that's not really what you read it for, right? That you read One Punch Man, especially the manga, because obviously the web comic, like I love one, but he doesn't sell the story as effectively as his mangaka. Thankfully, his mangaka is so good though. Like but yeah, one story, like one is basically like, so most manga are independently produced by one dude. One is like he has his manga that he has his web comic that he makes of One Punch Man, and then he has the manga, which is basically a slight retelling of the story from the One Punch Man web comics, which adds and removes a few things. It usually adds more than it removes. But there are a few things that are not in the manga that are in the only in the web comic. But there's more that are only in the manga that are not in the webcomic, just so you know, right? Other than like stuff they haven't gotten to yet, effectively, right? But because I'm not counting like they haven't even gotten to that part of the story yet as missing. Because how can it be missing if it's not bit meant? What I mean? Like it technically isn't there yet, but it's not really missing. It's more like they just haven't gotten there yet. They're going to. They just haven't gotten there yet, right? It's a yet with a lot of the parts that are missing from the story, basically. Whereas there's a few things that are missing, but very, very little, right? But regardless, like usually the things that are missing are like dumb shit anyway. Like did you know that this guy says like it's hard to explain like what's missing in the webcomic, but it's never anything like that would like take away from Saitama's like strength or like the story or anything. Like it's like dumb shit that like one probably thought was funny like 10 years ago when he, because I remember this is also a fairly old webcomic. Like the manga is way newer than the webcomic as well. Um, but yeah, so like you know, like he probably like there's a couple gag jokes that are changed or removed entirely just because like yeah, like who the fuck cares, right? But it's like also was you know in his head 10 years ago, as in one is still overseeing it, but like if stuff in his head 10 years ago, he might change his mind, you know, basically, right? Like it's things that the author clearly changed his mind on as he grew older, not like you know anything major, right? But yeah, we've got 10 minutes. Now, like the real meat and potatoes of this is, of course, I've had like people who are like really against this series, and I have no idea why. They're like, "Oh, I thought you would grow out of it." Dog, like this isn't a definitive show. I think anyone who really is a fan of this knows that it doesn't really matter who wins or who loses or what the research says or whatever. What matters is that we're gonna get an amazing soundtrack and an awesome animation, right? Now usually it's Brandon Yates. Although there are some like bangers by Wolf Media, and then obviously, you know, along with the soundtrack, which depending on which you know might be a different like Wolf Media seems to do like the more like he seems to be better, of course, with like the more like I don't know the best way to describe it. Like it's not it's not as like super I get like so like if it you know like Superman would not be like a one you would pass off to Werewolf. It would be like he's usually the one that does stuff with like horror and stuff, right? Usually like Brandon Yates' Halloween soundtrack for goes hard, but like Werewolf's goes a little harder basically. But when it comes down to like non like holiday themed ones, Branding Yates usually tends to be superior, I guess is a good way to describe it. Um, like the Airwolf is like it's more casual and like you know silly, and then Brandon Yates is well no this is gonna be hard as fuck. We need to have Brandon Yates here. It's similar like with the animation, like you know, depends on who's animating. Like this one, it has to be Devil Artemis, right? There are other animators though that are really good. Like obviously, the series has plenty of animators. Devil Artemis is just one of many. He's probably the best, but you know, like like the way it works is like they'll have like different people writing and researching and whatever. I personally think the research is like basically just an excuse to read more than you were going to. Like, hey, we got to do this death battle for you know Johnny Storm versus you know Johnny Storm versus you know a Hot Shot from Ben 10. All right. Um, so we got to do that, right? So we have an excuse to read Ben 10 material as well as you know all the Fantastic Four, right? And, like that's what it feels like to me. It's just like this is just an excuse to read some comics and watch some TV, right? Like so that's like my thing. Like I feel like that's the real like kicker for me. This is a hype show for for to like get people who might not be into like the material to like, especially with Asura's Wrath. Like Asura's Wrath is an old game, right? Like, I mean, obviously it's newer than the first God of War, but it's older than like God of War 5, right? Definitely. I think we can all agree that the game is older than God of War 4 and 5. And the reason, well, I think it's even older than God of War 3. Um, but, like, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, because of that, there are people who might not have played it, who might have missed, like, the hype train in the mid 2000s, the late 2000s, early 2010s. And because of that, they start seeing this, right? It's a mainstream YouTube show. Oh, I know who Kratos is. Who's this guy, right? And so then they see this show and they're like, god damn, I want to see that. Like, that's my thing, right? I view this as like free advertisement more than anything, right? Like, once they stop doing like the bullshit that they did with, what was it, like they did like a joke episode every few seasons, but like the bullshit like that was really like obviously not free advertising was what was it, Miley, it was like Rebecca Black versus Justin Bieber. That's who it was. Like the YouTube singers who kind of betrayed YouTube as they grew older. Yeah, those guys, yeah. Especially Justin Bieber. Honestly, Rebecca Black, just the song was annoying after a while. I'm gonna be honest, like I don't even think the song was that bad. It just was way overplayed. I mean, Justin Bieber was the same thing, but Justin Bieber kind of like betrayed his like upbringing as a career, right? Like people don't know Justin Bieber for his YouTube career anymore. Like I feel like I have to bring up that he started as a YouTuber to people because that's kind of the thing. He did start as a YouTuber. Rebecca Black obviously did too, but I think Rebecca Black isn't like a complete betrayal of her audience. Like, you know, like I don't even think like Rebecca Black is even like famous for anything, to be fair, other than Singing Friday. But like also, yeah, you know. I know, like you know, like I feel like obviously neither of them are as cool as Christina Grimmie was. Rest in peace. That was very fucking tragic. But yeah, yeah. Actually, I kind of just killed the fucking mood, didn't I? God damn, fuck, ugh, man. But yeah, like you know, like other than like those episodes, like most are pretty decent. And obviously, they have done multiple Superman versus Goku debates things. For me, the first two fucking suck. I know they're their most watched episodes, but the third one actually was good. And the reason why, like people are like, but the outcome's the same. Yeah, I don't really care about the outcome. I care about the animation is god tier, and they actually get the characters right. Like Superman doesn't act like Superman in Superman versus Goku, and Goku is just a fucking retard. He's not Goku either, right? Like I think I called it like angry old man brutally murders retarded person for like the first two debate like videos, right? And then the third one I said Superman versus Goku because they got the characters to act like them. Like that's the thing, like it's weird that it took so long, but yeah, like Superman doesn't act like that like usually in the comics or so. And neither does Goku. like Goku, yeah, he's like he makes like what seems to be mistakes that only really pay out in the end. So clearly like the decisions that Goku makes, like whether or not they end up panning out is like, he's like Doctor Doom. He works in mysterious ways, right? But he's not a fucking idiot, right? He's not a moron. He's definitely not a retard. He's got a plenty of intelligence. He's not dumb. He's not educated. He's not book smart, but he's not dumb, right? Like I wouldn't trust Goku to drive me somewhere. But granted, why the fuck do I want Goku to fucking drive a car anyway? Like, if the dude can just instant transmission me to work, I would just rather just Goku. You can just like locate my work and I'll hold your hand while you do it, so we can just go there, instantly, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like if he can just transport you there instantly and just be there. Like, which would you rather do, right? Like, I'd just rather, yeah, just teleport me there. Like, you don't need to drive. So, like, yeah, he can't drive a car. He can't do, like, but who cares, right? It's not like Goku's, needs to do, right? Like, in his universe, it's like, okay, he can't do, like, calculus for, like, gravity. It doesn't matter, though, right? He can still kind of, like, understand, like, the math that he needs, and that's it. He understands that, if there's like 20 fucking dudes, in his way, and if he reduces them to one, they tend to be like, Yeah, like if he reduces it to 0, like they tend to be like not as brutal to him anymore. You know, like he doesn't really need to know like too much math, because like the math involved in what he does is pretty simple. And like that's the thing, like not everyone needs to know calculus, right? Not everyone needs to know like trigonometry either. Like people need to know, hey, can you measure like a line for me, right? Can you press buttons for me? Like that's most jobs, right? Yeah, Goku doesn't know how to do those jobs, but he knows how to he knows how to calculate, like, where his fist needs to be to punch your lights out. So he's not stupid. He's just not like smart in the ways that matter more for like getting a minimum wage job at a Burger King, or like a more advanced job as a programmer at a IT company. Yeah, he's not gonna do that, but I don't think anyone wants him to do that. That's not what he's supposed to do. He's a superhero, right? Like Superman doesn't only needs to know that because like the way his world works, some people just blow shit up with bombs. So yeah, maybe being able to cut out the wire correctly by reading a book on how to disable a bomb, for Superman, that might be good, right? But for Goku, right, because the way most of the villains interact with his society tends to be like through forms of martial arts. Knowing how to disable a bomb that will never actually be used against you is not needed. So why does it matter that he doesn't know those things? You know?
They're coming straight.
Yeah, like that's the thing.
Trust me.
I need to turn on the ad blocker.
Nothing.
But I'm pretty honest, I don't really care. Valorant does look fun, but that's about all I can say about Valorant. I haven't. He does enjoy it, so. I'm just not into hero shooters that much. Marvel Rivals is the only one I've really enjoyed, and I still am not like. I'm more into that for my girlfriend than me. You know? I have gotten into Zenless Zone Zero though. It's way too easy though for me. It's the closest you can get to porn without being porn. Kids aren't going to know what those are, and if they do, that their parents need to do their job, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's ultimately failure to parent at that point. I gotta be honest, like, if kids are knowing things that I didn't even know until 16 at younger ages than me, and I was totally online with no parent, been very open about how abusive my childhood was. If that's what we're doing, that's the I'm not there their target audience is clearly adults in Zenless Zone Zero, so but that's fine. Their target audience is kids.
Kratos versus Asura.
The Ghost of Sparta versus the Wrathful Destructor. Cause sometimes you just want to punch a god in the face. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Like when it comes to kind of thing is like
In the beginning, the primordials waged war across existence, a series of cosmic clashes that birthed the universe.
Boom! Now that's what I call a big bang!
From Ceto's death, the oceans would flow. From Uranus's strikes, the stars were spawned, and so forth. Thus, the world itself was born from violence.
Starting the whole messy cycle, Uranus was overthrown by his Titan son, Kronos, who was overthrown by his Olympian son, Zeus, who battled his own son, Kratos.
As a classic bastard child of Zeus, Kratos was left among Spartan mortals, far exceeding all among him. He became a fierce warrior, winning many a battle, until finally cornered by ruthless barbarians.
Ares, destroy these guys who are kicking my ass, and my life is yours. A deal was made, and Kratos was joined at the bone with the Blades of Chaos, a set of chain swords, and basically a badass whirlwind of flame and steel.
But Ares had a scheme. While doing work for his god, Kratos accidentally murdered his own family, permanently marked by the ashes of his wife and daughter. He was, forevermore, the ghost of Sparta.
So he was kinda understandably really pissed off. Time for a new god of war. The gods were crapping their togas in fear as the new god of war took out his rage on all of them. And got some new gear out of it too.
With Poseidon's trident and Icarus's wings, Kratos dominated both sea and sky. He also has a tendency to carry powerful severed heads, like Medusa's.
And the claws of Hades could steal souls, even the soul of Hades himself. Should have thought that one through, man.
Neither Perseus or Hercules were a match for Kratos, nor was Helios, the sun god capable of moving stars and spreading light across the entire underworld.
He fought Atlas, the Titan of Strength, who broke the load-bearing pillar of the universe. So Kratos forced him to hold up the cosmos on his own instead.
And he could do it with just one hand, according to the novelization.
Even his grandpappy Kronos failed to stop him. You know, the guy who overthrew the primordial that punched the universe into existence?
Causing shockwaves that moved over a quadrillion times faster than light, a frankly incomprehensible feat.
Then there's Daddy Zeus,
who proved a serious challenge, until Kratos drew perhaps his ultimate weapon, the Blade of Olympus.
It can make tornadoes, lightning, force fields. Oh, and it can stab the hell out of you. It siphons godly energy and can pull enough to even kill Zeus. Like father, like son.
Even while Kratos ultimately released hope across the Greek world, he could only do so after annihilating everything.
Like a badass, he was unstoppable, non-stop killing and sex and even more killing. And yet, he couldn't be any more depressed.
His wife and daughter were still gone. What was he to do?
He didn't know. He wandered aimlessly for years, somehow stumbling into Norse mythology where he met Faye, his second wife. Good start, buddy.
Kratos had a new lease on life, but he could not escape his past mistakes.
There's a reason he hid his swords in a dingy basement. Even so, Faye insisted he could do better. So he became a dad to a new boy.
Easily the toughest task he ever undertook, especially after Faye unfortunately died of a mysterious illness.
Damn it, not again! But hey, it wasn't Kratos' fault this time, and Faye left the tools he'd need to keep the boy safe, including the Leviathan Axe.
Far from the whirling rage of the Blades of Chaos, the Leviathan Axe was deliberate and mighty, said to rival Mjolnir itself.
Thor wishes Mjolnir was as cool as this axe. It's imbued with ice magic and a poison even the gods fear. It can be summoned to Kratos' hand from a distance, and it even shatters souls.
Kratos may have once been a sword of vengeance, but with his new weapons and a new purpose, he stood as a shield against the godly Asir.
Too bad he just can't help but get in trouble with gods. But now he knew how to control his anger.
Which is even more important than it sounds. Kratos' Spartan rage summons an inner strength with magical properties.
He can even get so pissed off that he straight up heals himself. That seems like the opposite of what should happen.
Not all anger is problematic, and Kratos wields plenty of new weapons and relics to channel his rage through.
Like the Draupnir ring, which can summon a bunch of wind spears. They can absorb all types of energy and blast it back. He even has relics and magic that can warp space and slow down time.
Naturally, he contested with the strongest of the Norse gods, including the god of thunder Thor, who was powerful enough to fight the fire giant Surtur and the world serpent Jormungandr at the same time.
Oh, and that fire giant would be the cause of actual Ragnarok. You can't defeat me, Thor. I know, but he can.
Well, not exactly. Freyr, the rain god, held off Ragnarok for a considerable time on his own, and the sheer power of Ragnarok shook Yggdrasil down to its very roots.
That's the World Tree, which is like a literal tree that connects the whole universe.
According to Freya, the tree's very existence supports all of creation among its boughs. Every strand transcending time, transcending space. Everything comes back to the tree.
So it's kind of like Kratos lives in a really, really, really big treehouse.
In his quest to free the
yeah.
Norse world, Kratos reclaimed old weapons by reckoning with his past sins, even taking up the blade of Olympus once again.
Even better,
in the Bible, right? It's called the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. There are people who say tree of life. I think that's like people not like, that's from Norse mythology, right? Like Yggdrasil is the tree of life, I'm pretty sure. Like there is no tree of life in Christianity, but like people always say, like it's not. It's the knowledge of good and evil, and you're also not supposed to eat the fruit from that. You're not really ever supposed to eat the fruit from that tree. Like, in fact, like I think like wasn't the first people who did that like cursed humanity forever?
Actually got to be a decent dad. And now the boy is a man and also a bear.
Kratos made a lifetime of mistakes, but this future would be different. He'd be more than he was in the past. Not just a god of war, but a leader, a father, and a defender. A god of hope.
I feel like he still is a god of war, but he's a god
This
of
battle
war
is sponsored by
with, like,
Robin Hood Gold.
With Robin Hood
right?
Gold, you can
And I
now
think,
enjoy
like,
the
here he's
VIP
also,
treatment,
like, a good,
receiving a
example of
3%
that.
IRA
Here
match
he's a
on
god of
retirement
war, but he's
contributions.
very
The
peaceful,
privileges
but
of
he
the
also
very
knows
privileged
how
are
to
no
fuck
longer
them
exclusive.
up,
With
right?
Robin Hood Gold, your
Not
annual
like
IRA
it's
contributions
because,
are boosted by 3%.
Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any network.
The new gold standard is here with Robin Hood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold.
Investing involves risk. Rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match and must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
It's different for those two gods.
Long ago, a demigod fell from the heavens, only to rise from the depths of Naraka after 12,000 years.
After 12,000 years, he's free to punch everything dumb enough to get in his way. He was the demigod of wrath, Asura.
Alongside 7 other demigod generals, Asura served as defender of humanity against the impure Goma, dark spirit monsters infesting the world.
And the demigods battled the Goma by wielding a mystic energy formed from human prayer, mantra.
By advancing technology with mantra, the Guardian Generals became essentially hyper-powerful mystic cyborgs. They could each harness mantra through a different emotional affinity. For August, it was greed. For Yasha, it was melancholy.
I'll give you one chance to guess what Asura's is.
By tapping into his wrath, Asura can take many forms for battle, like the 6-armed Vajra, a state powerful enough to subdue the embodiment of the planet's will and the source of the Goma, Vlitra.
But he wasn't angry enough to put Goma Vlitra down for good. At least not yet. Of course, since he's literally powered by wrath, no enemy of Asura's would be stupid enough to do something that would make him even more mad, right? Right?
Funny you should say that.
God damn it.
First off, Asura is not some one-dimensional anger machine. In myth, the Asuras were powerful and aggressive beings, sure, but not inherently evil, just like Asura himself. He's a warrior, but also a husband with a daughter, Mithra.
And Mithra has the unique power to supercharge mantra energy,
which gave Asura's prideful commander, Deus, an idea. If he could weaponize Mithra, literally wiring her up to a super weapon, the Guardian Generals could maybe finally end Goma Vlitra for good.
Well, obviously Asura wasn't gonna go along with that, so Deus framed Asura for killing the Emperor, murdered his wife, kidnapped Mithra, and then just straight up killed him. What a dick.
But true to his nature, Asura was literally too angry to die. So long as a single part of his body remains and can possess mantra, he can climb back out of Naraka, a sort of limbo underworld between life and death. Thanks to some coaxing from a strange golden spider, he did just that, with an all-new purpose in mind.
Make the gods pay! Oh yeah, they're calling themselves gods now. Turns out they're all assholes who started sacrificing thousands of innocent people to try to power up. So Asura got really pissed off.
And through his rage, Asura's power exploded, rising enough to throw giants like ragdolls, shatter whole moons, and destroy a fellow deity, Wizen,
who could dwarf the planet and wreck it with just a finger. Look at this!
Asura is so powerful, his soul cannot be manipulated by the Goma or the deities. He can propel himself with mantra to fly, harden his fists to break steel, fire explosive energy blasts,
and headbutt you so hard you wish you could die even faster. The dude literally stockpiles anger into a burst of energy that can one-shot even the toughest of foes. And when he goes unlimited mode, he can rapid-fire those super attacks without overheating.
Asura's vengeance quest wasn't all shouting and explosions, though. I mean, it was a lot of that, but he also tried to protect people from the gods, including a girl who very much reminded him of his own daughter.
Yeah, Asura's the kind of guy who wants to be a great dad, but all he knows how to do is punch anything that upsets his kid, like that one dad that knocks out a ref at a Little League game.
And then the gods killed that girl too, along with her whole village, sparking Asura to unleash his berserker aura.
You know how the gods were sacrificing thousands of people to power up? Well, Asura got so freaking angry, he built up enough mantra to match them, even though they've been building up energy for thousands of years. Seriously, guys, you're pissing off the guy who literally gets more powerful the angrier he gets. What did you think was gonna happen?
Yet even in berserker mode, Asura never lost total control.
Berserker Asura adds even more extra arms, and they're big and glowy now. The man can launch so much angry mantra he wiped out the god's whole space fleet in seconds.
Asura's anger raised to levels so high even he couldn't contain it, scorching him into his wrath form.
Even though it hurts Asura while he's in it, this form is still perfect for absolutely shit-stomping a snobby demigod's face in. It's okay though, his brother-in-law punched the edge out of him.
Yasha saw the error of the deity's senseless sacrifices and teamed up with Asura for a coup against Deus.
Awesome, they're bros again! Just in time for Asura to hit his former boss with so much mantra that he burst, then dive into the planet's core to obtain power equal to 1,000 arms! His mantra form! Finally, a power capable of killing Vlitra in a big planet-busting blast!
Deus was defeated and Gaia was saved. Yet, Asura's wrath hadn't been quelled.
Title drop!
It turns out that spider that guided him was actually Chakravartin, the creator of mantra and the entire universe.
And everyone's suffering was part of his plan to make Asura his heir. Chakra kidnapped Mithra, because of course he did, and tested Asura in the form of a massive golden Buddha statue. Check out the size of it! That thing can literally hold a galaxy in its palm. Naturally, Asura and the statue threw hands.
Enter the mantra reactor. Capable of holding 7 trillion souls, Asura instead used it as a vessel for a far greater power.
His own unfiltered rage. At last, Asura could show the world his real colors.
Everyone from the humans to the 7 deities to Chakravartin saw Asura's anger as a weapon, a sword for tyranny, when that was never who he was. His rage was really a shield to protect humanity, and most of all, his daughter.
A shield larger than a planet! Unbound by his past limits, Asura's ultimate destructor form effortlessly punched through asteroids larger than nebulas, dodged planet-sized lasers moving 2 quadrillion times faster than light, and obliterated whole stars!
Chakravartin was, understandably, impressed, and offered Asura a chance to take his place. Asura smiled at the offer, and extended his arm.
Right into Chakra's face! As if he was gonna let some god trample over over more worlds. Instead, he literally beat the QTEs out of God, obliterating him and his plans in a cosmic explosion.
But with Chakravartin dead, so was the concept of mantra itself. Those who depended on it could not survive, including Asura.
Hey, as long as Mithra was fine, it was worth it. Besides, he'll reincarnate millions of years later, still kicking ass, ready to smack a random thug, a meteor, or Ryu, right in the balls.
It's interesting. Despite the dangers of uncontrolled anger, Asura's wrath gave him the power to save everything. All because of just one thing.
Some bastard made his daughter cry, so they had to pay. Now that's a god I can get behind.
I also loved how like a large part of it is like their
This
rage,
battle
and
is
a
sponsored
large
by
part
Prize
of it
Picks,
is their
the
love
best
of
place to get
family,
real money
right?
sports
But,
action. With over 10 million members and billions of bucks in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone.
It's simple. All you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash.
And when you want to find non-standard options that are harder or easier to win, just look for the little goblins. Love those little guys.
The big game is almost here, so don't miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks. Prize Picks is even giving away a free pick for the game. To win, one of the starting instantly Prize Picks. The combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a dad battle!
Yeah. Alright. This is like where the part the show really shines, obviously. Kratos. Being Kratos. I heard that there was 9 Let's see, this might be the longest fucking death battle since they started hiring like animators. And usually it's like just for the one song. It's like 4 minutes at most. This one might be 9 minutes. Let's see.
It's true then. The god of war is on Gaia. But not for long. You do not want this fight. Run! Your wrath consume you. I have been down that road before. Shut up! Very well.
I've been there. I know where that leads.
deserve a worthy end!
That's true. I forgot he does all that shit, man.
You are a monster no longer. I never was.
Well, I guess Asura's wrath really is gone. But are we sure this is how it'd go? Even though Asura can blow up stars?
Asura had some amazing displays of apocalyptic destruction, but the full scope of their speed,
show versus tell, but like Kratos is far stronger, but you don't feel that when you play Asura's Wrath. That's the thing.
experience, versatility, and power sheds a surprising light.
At first glance, speed seems like a shoo-in for Asura. Kratos is quick, but he never dodged a universe-crossing laser.
That doesn't mean he couldn't. Remember, as usual, we look at these characters at their peak, free from gameplay restrictions.
Yeah, we're looking at everything in canon, and Kratos fought and killed Helios, the sun god.
From the moment he's introduced, Helios is emphasized to be immensely powerful. Without Helios, darkness would shroud everything. His light was fast enough to illuminate the entire underworld while Kratos sailed through it, taking a few hours at most.
So, kinda hard to quantify, but that's consistent with the shockwaves the primordials caused that spawned the universe.
Arguments could be made for which is faster, the primordial shockwaves or Chakravartin's intergalactic lasers. Since it's so close, it's safest to assume their speeds are generally even.
But what does speed matter if
It's most basically immeasurable, to be fair, really.
you don't know how to use it? Let's cover experience. Asura lived across centuries, obviously a lot longer than Kratos.
And while Kratos eventually learned to control his rage, Asura pretty much always had that control.
So Asura easily takes experience. But when it comes to versatility, he couldn't match all the weapons and abilities Kratos had.
Sure, Asura's quite skilled and a monster at martial arts, but his fighting style mostly relies on one thing.
A whole lot of punching.
Kratos' weapons, magic, runes, relics, and even his rage gave him far more options in combat, slowing down time, healing injuries, and most importantly, multiple weapons that could drain a variety of energies, like Mantra.
Yeah, when Asura loses all his mantra energy, that's it for him. So the Dropnir spears and the Blade of Olympus gave Kratos exactly what he needed. Versatility, and multiple ways to finish this for good before Asura just comes crawling back out of the underworld.
If he could, Asura's resurrections take years or whole centuries, days at best.
But all this assumes Kratos could match Asura's crazy strength. All roads lead to power, which should go to Asura, right? Look at what he can do! If this came down to who made the bigger kaboom, he'd kick Kratos' ass in 2 seconds.
But a closer examination of their feats reveals the truth.
At his peak, Asura overpowered Chakravartin, annihilating that cosmic golden god.
By measuring the dimensions of Chakravartin's body and scaling it up to match the size of this galaxy-eclipsing statue, we can determine its volume. Add in the density of gold, for good measure assuming the form is solid throughout, and its mass far exceeds not just our galaxy, but our entire observable universe.
Destroying that big golden god would need energy on par with obliterating our universe 91,000 times.
Extremely impressive and unfathomable. However, the same idea applies to Ragnarok shaking the roots of Yggdrasil.
Ragnarok is obviously a bit of a different beast than Kratos, but what really matters is what Freyr did.
Right, Freyr, a god comparable to Kratos, held back Ragnarok's power for a significant time.
So Kratos should be capable of the same level of power, or even more.
Using an official map and knowing the world tree's branches encompass all of existence, we can measure its size and volume.
And we know this map is accurate because it shows these two realms conjoined, which we see in-game.
Even if we assume the Tree of the Realms is only 1% solid, a significant lowball that Kratos should easily scale above, shaking such an incomprehensibly large structure would require enough force to destroy our universe's mass energy 9 million times over.
That's almost 100 times greater than Chakravartin's destruction. And this isn't some one-off outlier. I mean, a realm-shattering supergiant doesn't sound too different from the other Titans and Olympians Kratos defeated.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's easy to think that we never see Kratos do anything that matches Asura, but we do. Helios' speed matches Chakravartin, and Kratos outsped him. Atlas is strong enough to lift all of reality, and Kratos overpowered him. Kronos defeated the creator of the universe in a one-on-one fight, same as Asura, and Kratos killed Kronos. Add in the clear numerical comparison of Chakravartin, Ragnarok, and Yggdrasil, and Kratos takes the edge in power.
But hey, Capcom, if you give us Asura's Wrath 2, we'll try this again.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Asura's The Sun Rises. The god of wrath was Kratos.
The winner is Kratos.
But what if... concludes my pitch for Asura's Wrath 2. The end. Next time on Death Battle.
Subscribe and join as a member.
I got Ghost Rider, like, spawned. I kind of expected Spawn when they showed, like, this panel. But, where is it? Let me look at the exact frame. You know, I kind of figured it would be Spawn.
And that concludes my pitch for Asura's Wrath 2. The end. Next time on Death Battle.
Okay, so this is obviously here, right? Like, I kind of figured Spawn right here, but I didn't see it. Yeah, okay, so yeah. So let's just see Spawn.
Subscribe and join as a member to see more Death Battle. Thanks.
Right, there we go. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I got a, what's the soundtrack called? That's the other thing. I need to know the soundtrack. Ready? Okay. Ready is a song apparently. Ready. Okay, so I guess I'll just say ready. I think that's how you pronounce it, isn't it? Ready? You kind of like emphasize this. I believe. I think it makes a D sound. So it's basically called ready, but like with a bit more of an accent. Yeah. So okay, this is a Werewolf Media soundtrack. All right. All right. Yeah, it's definitely very epic. Usually he doesn't do usually it's Brandon Yates who ends up doing those kinds of soundtracks, but hey, it's pretty good. Oh, it's yeah, okay, so it's anger or enrage is the name for it. Oh, Akari, yeah. Anyway, so, it was pretty fun. I definitely enjoyed it. And there you go. I kind of predicted it, but that's just because I know the two series quite a bit. Yeah, like also it doesn't really matter. Like the prediction doesn't really matter. Yeah, I was able to do it, but it doesn't fucking matter, really. Like what really matters is that it was a great animation and an even better like a little bit of advertisement for the series, I guess. Like I felt hype to see this series a bit again. Like that's what this really is about. It's like, hey, these are two like cool things. We're gonna have them battle to the death, but like the main point is to say, hey, you should watch or play these. They're awesome. So yeah, that's what I got out of it, and that's what you should get out of it. They're basically saying, hey, these are awesome. You should play them. And there you go. Anyway, see ya.